And there was only one album that we could agree on with all three of us in the house at the same time, and that was Toto 4.
Welcome to the Exploring Washington State podcast. Here's your host, Scott Cowan.
My guests today are Terri and Mark from Sweet Thang and the Stumblers, and you guys have to explain that name to everybody. So welcome. They were also, everyone's going to be listening to this. They were told they had to be funny, so we're going to have expectations.
Oh boy.
I'm throwing you under the bus.
I'm already
Terri and Mark, how did you guys get started with this band? I know there's a bunch of history, and I'll shut up now.
Oh, you want to take that? Or do you want me to take
you start at the beginning and I'll pick it up because I wasn't there at the beginning.
Okay, so, let's see. Troy, I don't know if lots of people know who Troy Moss is. He's a guitarist that's played in many bands, and I went to high school with him and grew up watching the Moss Brothers band. And after high school, we got together, got married, and we started writing songs together. And we actually danced to one of the songs that we wrote together for our wedding. It was recorded on a 4-track. So back then in our little studio house, we recorded our wedding song. And so I've always, written in the background of his bands and stuff and helped him with lyrics and helped stuff. And he one day came up to me and said, so I'm getting that, and this was later on in life, unfortunately, not earlier, but we can always start at any time. But right. He said, I'm getting the feeling that maybe you want to be in a band with me. And I was like, well, yeah, you dummy, come on. How many clues do you need? Come on, I laid out some breadcrumbs. Give me a break, right? So he said, let's do it. And so, of course, we snagged our really close friends, Phil Suggs, Kevin Dell into it, and we're like sitting there thinking, well, we got 4 of us now, but let's go watch. We happened to watch the Twang Junkies, and we're like, we really like Mark. We really need Mark in our band, and so I'm not quite sure how we got you convinced to join our band, but I think what we did was we said, hey, why don't you come sit in with us and see how things go?
I got called in for that first studio recording.
Okay, there we go.
Okay. Troy called me, so we've been doing studio work.
How long has this band been together?
2.5 years.
2.5 years. Okay. And so how I heard about you was bass player out of Seattle, Steve Alamant, shared a video of yours on his Facebook page, and it happened to pop up on my wall, and I happened to click play, and I watched it, and I was like, this is really cool. I had no expectations, right? I didn't know what I was about to hear. And I was really thinking, this is really, really cool. I was really impressed. So I ended up, or dare I say, stumbled across your website and started checking out other things. And then I reached out to Troy, and then one thing led to another. And now the three of us are sitting here talking. So how would you describe the band? Because if I try to do it, no one will ever listen to you. So this is your chance to, how would you describe the band artistically?
Oh boy. You want me to handle that?
Well, you can start it and then I'll finish it. Okay. You go right ahead.
Every musician that's in the band, without exception, has been second fiddle for really, really good bands for most of our entire working life. Steve Alamant is a perfect example. Steve calls me up, I lay down steel tracks for Steve. Okay, so that's how this goes. When we actually formed the band, we sat down and we had a chat about it. Everybody writes, everybody sings, everybody plays. Even split, no matter what happens. Those were the ground rules. Phil writes a torch song from the 70s, we're going to play it. Kevin writes Celtic jigs. We're going to play them. Everything is fair game. Incredibly eclectic. And all of us have 40 plus years playing. So there's an incredibly diverse background.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm a newbie, right, to the whole music thing, right? So
had you ever been in a band before?
Well, I was a backup singer for the Moss Brothers at one point. Billy Moss. Okay. I don't know if you know who Billy Moss is, the Moss Brothers band. No, okay.
I didn't
so
know
they
that.
were pretty popular in Puyallup, anywho. So I did get a little bit of experience, and he tried to put me on the spot a couple times, but I just about, peed my pants, and it was not a good thing. I would sweat profusely. And, when it would come up to my one line of singing by myself, So no, I really hadn't. Fronting a band was a whole different situation. Not that I'm the front person, but I am the female in the band. So I tend to watch me dance around and stuff. And so it was quite an experience, but to play with this level of musicianship is just, I'm in awe every time we're on stage. And the fact that, I play a little bit of mandolin. It would be nothing that I could ever do with this group, but to actually write music and lyrically compose it and then bring it to these guys and have them turn it into something just amazing is just, it's incredible. We all get to have that expression here, and it's really awesome. And we all really respect each other and have a great time doing it. And so you might think that Sweet Thang is for me, but it really isn't. It's for one band member, and we won't name him. That's for people to try and figure out. I am just a stumbler.
You're just a stumbler.
Okay. I am just a stumbler, which we all do that very well.
We do.
And we stumble over our chords. We stumble on the stage. We stumble down the alleyway. Everybody stumbles. So we're all inclusive.
So Terri, if you used to break out in cold sweat to sing one line, mm-hmm. What's changed that you're comfortable now to front the band?
I don't know. I guess maturity. I guess not really care. That we have a vision and a message that we want to put out there, and I don't really care. I want my people to like it, and I want everybody to enjoy the music. It's important for that to happen, but I need to express myself. And so for me personally, that's how I got over that. And, and plus repetitiveness helps a lot.
Oh, Lord, we practice a lot.
Okay.
Well rehearsed.
Yeah. So, and, this last gig, I was just a little bit of butterflies, but once we start going, it's all good. So, yeah. So.
Okay. Because I couldn't do that. I couldn't. I don't think I could be a roadie for a band. I don't think I could get on the stage even to pull chords around. And
well, look at what you're doing right now.
Yeah, but this is easy. We're just having a conversation. I can sit and talk to people, but if we were doing this live and there was 3 other people in the room, no, not going to work real well. I did have you ever heard of a singer named Christy McWilson?
I think so. What kind of music does she play?
Back in the early 80s, she was in a band called the Dinette Set.
Oh,
and then
name.
Yeah, and then she was in a band called the Pickets.
The Pickets. Is she bluegrass?
Kind of. And then she, you've heard of Dave Alvin?
Have you heard of Dave Alvin?
No.
Okay.
I live in a hole.
Okay. So Dave Alvin is from California. He and his brother back in the late 70s, early 80s were in a band called the Blasters. And then he briefly played in the band X out of Los Angeles. Dave is an amazing guitar player, amazing songwriter, just really talented performer all the way around. And so, long story short, he and Christy kind of grew up in the same town. Christy's best friend was dating Dave's brother, blah, blah, blah. That's, the the 40-year backstory. Dave has produced a couple of her albums, and Dave released an album called Dave Alvin and the Guilty Women, and she performed on that. Because he has his other band's called the Guilty Men, so they did a. Okay.
I like it.
Christy she's amazing. She's got an amazing voice, and she's really neat. I recorded an episode, which hasn't gone live yet, but I actually recorded it at her house. We went to her house, and I was not nearly as gregarious as I am right now. It was just really I'm in a room with people or something. I can't handle it. So we all have our niche, but I'm actually, I applaud you for getting up on stage and, doing this. I think that's awesome. And especially because you're not hiding behind a pedal steel, or Mark, you get to sit and,
I got me a sit down job.
Well, he gets a down job too.
You've got a sit down job. So you guys practice a lot.
Mm-hmm.
What is your vision for the band? What do you guys hope comes from all of this?
Oh boy.
Well, we're recording, and I think that, we have a big opportunity coming up, at the fairgrounds. So
yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah. So it's all who really
Mm-hmm.
in this industry, and so Limberlost, I don't know if you know who Limberlost is.
I don't.
They're a fairly popular, very popular rock group in our area.
Okay.
And
and internationally.
Brazil, and they're really popular in Brazil. Mm-hmm. And so anyway, they record at the same studio that we record at, and we're like high school life, like friends with the drummer. And so it's like, hey, we're doing the 4th of July celebration. You guys want to play? And we're like, heck yeah. So we were going to be playing in the parking lot because of COVID, but they moved us in, and we're playing the darn grandstand.
Now, so you're playing the grandstand at what we call the Puyallup Fair, because that's what it's always going to be.
That's correct. It is.
It's always going to be the Puyallup Fair. So I have a question for you. You've been to shows at the Puyallup Fair, right?
Oh, yeah.
Mark, you've been there? Shows?
At the Puyallup Fair.
Yes. Yes, I have.
So who's the best act you've seen play the Puyallup Fair?
Oh, damn.
Oh. Actually saw the Black Crowes there. It's real good.
Oh,
Let's see. I've seen Heart there.
Okay.
I've seen Bonnie Raitt. Oh, Bonnie Raitt. Oh,
okay.
I just love Bonnie Raitt. So what about you? I don't want to be the only one talking here. Come on.
God, we'd be going back a few years here. And now the name escapes me. It's right here.
That's okay.
I'll think of it in a minute.
Okay.
Senior moment.
Yeah, no kidding.
So I'll jump in and tell you mine. I saw Carlos Santana there.
Oh, I love him.
And I had my arm on the soundboard the whole time. So we had great seat. Yeah, we had great seat. That was kind of interesting. That was kind of fun to see.
I saw Santana at the Tacoma Dome a few years back. That was
right. A little different venue, right?
Oh, yeah, no kidding. Not as intimate.
Yeah.
Right.
My last show there was Hank Jr.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a great little place. And it's not little, but it's a great venue. I always think it's fun.
Well, they're allowing 5,000 people to be in there instead of 10. So it's half the seating. But that's okay.
That'll be great.
It'll be amazing.
So when is this now? Because
the 3rd of July.
The 3rd of July. Okay.
Yeah.
And this is the 4th of July celebration at the Puyallup Fairgrounds.
Exactly.
Yeah. And they're going to have fireworks afterwards. The band start at 3:00.
Okay.
3 to 10.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So it's a whole lineup of Northwest bands.
Is the fair going to be open?
They're going to have
there's going to be vendors,
and they're going to have the beer garden, food trucks, and stuff like that.
So all the essentials.
Farmers market's going to run simultaneously there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as far as the fair and the rides and that stuff, not as far as we know.
Yeah, they're not going to have rides.
No, that's okay. I mean, let's be honest. The rides are anticlimactic, if you will.
Well, they're for kids.
Right.
I can't ride them anymore. They make me sick to my stomach.
I'd like to go back to your question. It was about where the band's going.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Because I warned you. Well, maybe I didn't warn you, Mark, but I think I warned you guys that, we tend to go off track. I tend to drag the conversation into the weeds.
No worries.
So let's pitch it back. So Where's the band going?
Well, that's a really good question. We don't know yet. And we're so eclectic. We're not bluegrass, really. We've got bluegrass instrumentation. We go into the pool of Americana music. And it's a little tough to place this band. But we've never been turned away a second time. I guess you capture an audience with the what the heck are they going to play next routine, because we're so varied. So we don't know. Some things are sticking. Well, we're up. How many views we got on Facebook now, and it's never even been released on Paradise.
Oh gosh, like 14,000 likes.
Okay.
Views, 14,000 views. So
that's as far as it was released.
And it was just on Facebook. Those are Facebook views, not YouTube views.
Funny you say that, because you have that on your website, and I was listening to it before I stepped away, before I came back to record. Great sound. What's the story with that song? Because you kind of, on the website, you kind of mentioned about a campsite.
Yeah. So we own a cabin up at Mount Rainier, and it's just a place that we go and like are able to just like relax, chill out. And yeah, there's a literal campsite there. And and yeah, it's a great place to kick your shoes off, and maybe your bra too. Yeah.
And that's where you guys do a lot of, you like to do a lot of writing there? Is that kind of?
Well, we not only write there, that cabin is magic for recording. Our last video, I believe, we recorded there, and we are continuing to record our videos there, our audio there, because the acoustics are better than what we're getting in the studio. Really? Yeah.
That's cool.
Have you personally viewed the song "I Believe"?
I believe I have.
That was
a little while ago.
Yeah, that was a one take recorded live in the cabin. We played our instruments. We sang the song. It was mixed down.
Very cool.
And that's it.
Okay.
So that's also the beauty of the band, is that they're so talented that we don't have to take after take after take. So, I mean, if we do a song, we're usually done half a day at the most.
Really?
Which is pretty good,
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
That's amazing, actually.
Yeah.
Where have you got? So one of the questions I like to ask musicians, and Terri, you haven't sang in, you've just sang in this band, if you will, and with the Moss Brothers. So you may not answer this.
Yeah, Mark can do it.
So two-part question. As a musician, where's the best venue in Washington State that you've ever played at? That was like a really cool venue. That's question. Okay. Question number one. Question number two. As a musician, and Terri, in this case, you're a singer, so what's the best venue you've seen performances at? I'll start
with number two. Question number two. Where I'd like to play is I'd like to play Austin City Limits.
Okay, well, that's not Washington State, so that's dead to me. Texas is dead to me, Mark.
Okay, are you sure you don't want me to answer this?
But that would be a great venue. Don't get me wrong. That would be a great thing. But in Washington. So where's like a cool place that you've played? Like I'll give you some answers other people have said. They've said like the Triple Door. They both as a performer and as a guest. The Gorge came up with somebody, which, okay.
Jeez, I'd like to play White River. That'd be fun. White River Amphitheater.
Okay. All right. How about you, Terri? Where do you think would be a fun venue to play?
For our group, I think the Triple Door would be awesome, because it's very intimate, and people aren't talking during your sets. I mean, they get to eat dinner, but they don't chat. They pay attention. That and Jazz Alley, that Jazz Alley is really intimate too. It would be.
What's funny? Nobody has said Jazz Alley yet. That's a great venue, and nobody's said that yet. Okay, so how about where's a venue that you've seen? Like that you thought was a great venue to see music at and hear music?
Oh boy.
Well, I mean, definitely the big places like the Gorge is really cool. And what other venues? Well, we used to love Louis G's, but they're closed now. They're closed down. So that's really sad. And then, but we do like Jazz Bones too.
Yeah.
Right.
And Jazz Bones is awesome and they support local talent. So that's really a great place to hear people.
Place that I used to play at and go listen to music, you would know, was the Ranch out in Ellensburg. I played the room. I went and listened to bands there, and it had that seedy Roadhouse.
Oh my God! You're making my liver hurt. My liver hurts.
Yes. No, but the Ranch was great in its heyday, and you know you're of the age that you would have remembered that.
That was such a fun venue.
Oh,
such a fun venue. It was such a shame when it burned down.
Yeah, it was chic, seedy. It was a great room.
I don't know if I'd go chic. It was seedy.
It was seedy.
It was seedy, but there was something about this. It was a giant Quonset hut with a really, I think somebody told me it was the largest wooden dance floor in the state.
Wow.
And it was a floating floor, and it had no insulation in it.
No.
So you'd either be freezing to death or sweating to death. It was miserable. I don't know how any guitar player kept their guitar in tune in that building. I just don't know. I didn't care either, to be honest with you. Who did you see at the Ranch?
Oh, geez. A lot of Seattle bands came through during the day. In fact, I saw Wansley play there with one of the groups that he was involved in back in his college days.
That would probably have been Boys Will Be Boys.
Boys Will Be Boys. That would have been...
Mm-hmm. He probably was opening up for the Range Hoods.
Bingo. Yeah. The Range Hoods. I remember them come through. And I'm trying to think of this folk band that had the horn sections. And for the life of me, I can't... They came through from Seattle. Oh, then they were just killer.
That's interesting. I missed that. I see. Who did I see there? Probably the most nationally known act for one song. He had one hit, but Tommy Two Tone, which that stupid song. You know, the minute you can't get that out of your head. So Pat Boyle played there,
right?
In the Blue Baboons,
right?
They came over from Tacoma. That was quite entertaining. That was Terry. Did you ever see the Blue Baboons?
I did. I saw them in Tacoma and University Place, UP
at the Huntsman.
That, or there was another place that they used to play that a lot of bands came through.
They used to play at the ship. I used to see them at the Shipwreck.
So the Shipwreck was one. Yeah.
That was. That was. The interesting times of life. Interesting.
Those were fun days. Yeah, fun days.
Right. I think for me, go ahead, Mark.
Oh, speaking of Pat Boyle, my hat's off to Pat Boyle and the Twang Junkies, because that is the group that really launched my play. If you know Pat, if you've ever seen him play, he will absolutely bury you with his guitar playing if you do not stand your ground.
Okay.
And he was the guy that taught me on pedal steel to stand up for myself and carve out my niche on stage. And I owe him a huge debt of gratitude for just being a butt and just, you okay?
Sorry, I had to mute myself there.
He pushed you a little bit, right?
Oh,
he pushed.
Yeah, big time.
Well, sometimes we need to be pushed. I know that Troy pushes me.
He's an incredibly powerful guitar player.
Yes. Yeah. Have either of you? I haven't been there yet. Have either of you seen or gone to the Elks Lodge in Tacoma? Now that it's McMinimans.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't been there yet, so I haven't seen the renovation. From a music standpoint, does that look like a promising room to play?
It does.
Yes.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. That would be a good place to play at too. We need to get in there. We can get in there. Sure.
So, Mark, the one place that you played with the Twang Junkies, not to hijack this episode and talk about the Twang Junkies, but the one place I never understood how anybody could play there comfortably is the spar. Because you get like 10 square feet to set up an entire band.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's, it's fun place, but you're like shoved in the corner.
That's it. And we just do it. And I got to tell you, every time we've played that room, it's been packed clear out to the door. Every time. I mean, they're way over the recommended capacity of that room when we've played it. It's been insane.
Just wait till you see where we're playing at tomorrow.
No, it can't be that small.
Oh, honey, no, the stage is really tiny. Yeah, but we make it work because we just do that.
Well, Terry, you've been to the Spar, right? You've seen bands.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's very intimate. If you're like, you sit right up in their guitar.
Right. Or the Valley.
The Valley.
Oh, yeah. I played the Valley a number of times.
That's, and depending on how close you get to the stage there too.
Yeah. Well, we've lost a couple of venues that were good, for bands, but we're going to come back, I think,
Well, I saw something,
the Swiss is shut down. And that was
right. The Swiss shut down. But I saw something online, so it must be true. It looks like Jazz Bones is starting to fire back up again. And they're having something in June or something like that. So it looks like
Troy's
they're
part
going
of that.
Okay.
It's a songwriters
That's right. Yes.
event. Songwriters event. Yeah, Jessica Lynn, Ray Hayden, and then who else? Scott I can't remember. Another guy.
So the usual suspects,
Troy,
if you will.
Troy too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's great that Jazz Bones is opening back up again.
It's very exciting. Mm-hmm.
So, see, we hijacked this. Now let's go back to the band. So you all are writing songs.
Yes.
And it literally is a democracy. So if you bring a song, the band's going to play it.
Pretty much.
It can't be that
so
easy.
What happens is you bring a song in and then the band stumblizes it, is what we call it.
Stumblizes it.
Yeah, we stumblize each other's songs. So you might bring a song in and it gets moved around a bit, but then it turns into this fabulous production after everybody's done with it. So it's truly just a beautiful collaboration. And, really, I mean, I've heard all these stories and horror stories about being in bands and all these ego and stuff. And really, these guys, we all just want each other to do well and just enjoy ourselves, I mean, if we're not having fun, we're not doing it, period. We're not having fun, we're not doing it. And that's the general philosophy.
Yeah, it's not that every song makes it. Don't get that idea.
Yeah.
Okay. Some of them just don't have legs and they just don't go.
Yeah, and they just fizzle out.
They just fizzle.
Okay.
And there's no hard feelings. I mean, that's just kind of the way it is.
No, but most of the time.
Real quick story. The song Gypsy Dance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So Troy and we walked upstairs and we heard this like pedal steel thing going on. And I'm like, oh my God, what is that? He's writing something. And like, we're up there and I'm like, we need to do something with that. And we're like, Mark, what are you doing? And he's like, what do you mean? He goes, this is my exercise. I exercise. This is what I do. Exercise. I'm like, no, that is a song. We are going to write a song around that. And so that's what we did.
Yeah. It was a very rapid Mozartian minuet. It just blazed along in 3/4 time, and we slowed it down and moved it to 4/4 time. And Terry wrote lyrics for it, and off we went.
So I always find the creative process amazing and baffling at the same time. I don't have that skill set. I don't have it at all. And so I always admire anyone who's creative, who can hear something and go, okay, we have to do something with this. And then take and be collaborative and add instruments and add lyrics to what you were working on, Mark, or whatever the process is. Mark, I'd like to ask you, how did you get started? How did you get started playing pedal steel? Because I mean, it's not an uncommon instrument, but it's certainly not,
Not run of the mill.
No, it's not run of the mill. I didn't get to the pedal steel until I was in my 40s.
Okay.
And I have a music degree, played piano, play a fairly decent guitar, and I just decided I was going to try to tackle the instrument. I had one in a box, a student model, for probably 10 years.
Okay.
Had an acquaintance got it set up for me so that the pedals and levers worked correctly because I was clueless. And I basically sat in a bedroom every evening instead of watching TV and headphones on, listening to cassette tapes of bands and just started learning.
So who did you take inspiration from? Who were you listening to when you first started learning pedal steel?
The steel guitar player that I really lean my hat on is a cat named the Dixie Chicks father. Help me out
Do
here.
you want me to Google it? I don't know.
I want to say Lloyd Green, but that's not right. Anyway, it was the steel guitar player Natalie Maines. So his name was Lloyd Maines.
Oh, you got it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So Lloyd Maines was kind of the one I first studied. And I don't know if you remember the Dixie Chicks when their first couple of albums came up. He was the pedal steel player. He's Natalie Maines' father. And it was everything you needed and nothing you didn't. He just had those fills down. And I studied him for years. And it's a tough instrument. I mean, I was like 5 years just so I didn't sound like a cat being molested, It was just horrible.
Sort of like learning how to play the violin.
Yeah, kind of.
So I've got questions about the instrument. It I know nothing about it. Okay. I mean, so these are probably questions that you guys are going to look at each other and go, why is he asking these things?
Well,
but
I don't know.
How easy, I mean, you just said something about somebody came over and they set it up for you so that it worked properly.
Right.
But when you take it to a show, how do you transport something like that? And how do you set it up on a stage?
Well, it's kind of like origami. It just kind of unfolds and you got your legs on it. They're all integral and you have to put pieces together and the rods and whatnot hooked to the feet and everything's numbered. It has to go together in a specific way. And then you set it up on the stage and you tune it and then you wait a while and then you tune it again and you adjust it because it doesn't take kindly to being in a car.
Okay.
They kind of get rattled around. It's an incredibly complicated mechanism.
So Terry, you just show up and have a microphone. I mean, I'm oversimplifying, but your tool is the microphone in your voice. You got it easy compared to.
Yeah, for sure. So that's pretty easy to.
I'm kidding, but yeah, I mean, so you're sitting there and you're reconfiguring this thing each time you play a show.
Let's see if I can. I'll make a really quick. So you've got pedals and knee levers. Okay, so you got pedals and knee levers. The pedals change the pitch on certain strings. It's a belt. There's a lever, a rod, a bell crank. It goes down to the tuner that sits on my right hand. And the tuner allegedly has 500 some odd parts in it for 10 strings. And they go out of adjustment. So every time it rattles around, you're in there with a fine adjuster to make it go up or down to pitch. And the knee levers do the same thing.
Wow.
You can sit on one fret marker and play like 20 some different chords.
Wow.
With the pedals and the knee levers. So it's all getting that in your brain as you walk through the inversions going from, up the neck.
I could not do that. For those of you, she's patting her head and rubbing her stomach at the same time, which,
And chewing gum.
And chewing gum, yeah, no. Don't try to walk. Walking, you'll fall down.
I have a degree in music theory and composition, and if I was sitting on my pedal steel today, if you asked me to play an A flat, I'd have to think about it for a minute.
Really?
So for me, that instrument is all music theory driven.
Interesting.
And I understand a lot of steel players look at it that way. They don't know specific notes, but they know the music theory and chord structure. And don't get me wrong, I can play scales and play most of the modes just right off the bat. That's not an issue.
Yeah, because it's not. I mean, and now even more clear to me, it's not a. You don't see a lot of bands with a pedal steel, and now I'm understanding a little bit better why setting it up and moving it around is more fragile than I thought it might be, and then now you're dropping music theory on me and my head hurts.
Oh,
yeah.
One of the interesting things is you don't find many pedal steel players that's the only instrument they play.
Okay.
A lot of pedal steel players don't get to that instrument until later on in life, and they've got 10 or 15 or 20 years of experience behind them, and then they can tackle it and do an efficient job of it. And that's mostly true. All of the pedal steel players I know are like killer guitar players.
Right. Okay.
It's just kind of an interesting aside. I don't.
No, it's fascinating. Actually, it's a cool instrument. I love the sound that it adds. To music. But so Terri, you mentioned you played mandolin a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you play anything else besides mandolin?
I do some percussion in the band, but that's about it. I mean, I picked up a guitar and strummed a little bit, but I haven't really delved into that because when we decided to be in the band, I really went into vocal lessons with Joshua Ott and really dove into that. And that was going to be my instrument. So, and yes, I'd love to play the mando, though. We have a sweet little 103-year-old mandolin that I get to strum on. So.
Isn't that like violating workers' laws? Somebody 103 have to go to work. I mean, I thought at 99 they got to retire. Okay, so you're bringing out a 103-year-old mandolin.
It's beautiful though. The sound is so beautiful. It's called the Gibson. It's not a Gibson. It's the Gibson.
So not from the Gibson Guitar Company.
Yeah,
but it is.
Yeah, but it's called the Gibson at the top of the neck, the top of the head. The Gibson.
Okay, so explain for me how did we get to a mandolin as far as an instrument? For what is it?
I have little hands and it has a little neck.
Okay.
And so it's easy for me to form the chords. Right. If you put me on a guitar, it's you have to learn how to do all this. And I just don't have the time to spread my fingers that far and try and learn something. So a mandolin is just it's only got it's got 12 strings. Right?
No, 8.
8, sorry.
8, yeah.
4 times 4 is 8, Terri. So it's got 8 strings, but the 2 strings are strung really close together. And so it's really easy to manipulate those into chords. And so general songs like The Weight by, and things like that, Willin', stuff like that, I can do pretty easy. So it was just something I could do for fam jam. Sorry.
So from a historical standpoint, did the guitar come before the mandolin, or was the mandolin are they even related?
Not for me, because my husband has so many guitars, and when he got a mandolin, I was like, "Ooh, well, I think I can manipulate that."
To answer your question, it's in the lute family. I think I think that the guitars were probably developed a little bit later than the mandolins or the mandocellos. There's
mandocello.
Bigger.
It sounds like a cocktail.
Yeah. Oh, it should be. Yeah.
It should be. Yeah. We need to do a cocktail.
Yeah. A lot of the lutes historically 16th, 17th century were double coursed like the mandolin. So you had two strings played at once, and the kind of oval backs.
And
it's a very old instrument.
Yeah. So we do fam jams. So we started just jamming, and before we even got into a band, we were like just jamming. And so I needed an instrument to jam with, and so that was one that I could manipulate and jam with. And our mandolin player now, and also tenor guitar player and guitar player and bass player. Kevin Dell, him and his wife and Troy and I used to sit around and play all the time, just jam. And then Wintergrass was a big influence for us. I don't know if you've ever been to Wintergrass.
I never got to go.
It is, if you get to go, please.
It's a hoot.
Because it's so awesome. And if you go, you will be up in our room jamming or listening. We'll give you something to jam with.
Trust me, I'm not allowed to touch music. I'm left-handed also.
You can shake.
Yeah, probably I could that, but I'm left-handed, which screws up everything for everybody too. So since I only have 2 members of the band here, and you guys are, why don't you tell our listeners more about the other members of the band? Let's give them a voice for a little bit. And this is where you can make things up if you want. No one will fact check it, but if you
perfect.
But tell us about the other members of the band.
Okay, so do you want to go? You go ahead.
Sure, I'll go.
Okay, you tell one, and I'll tell another. You tell.
One of the nicest guys you ever meet on planet Earth, Phil Suggs, is our bass player. He's playing upright bass with us. He has been in countless bands over the decades, and as an on-call studio guy, writes, sings, does everything. Switches off in the show between guitar and upright bass, and it's like the old hop out of the Volkswagen at the stoplight routine. Instruments are being passed back and forth. So Phil holds down the bottom end of this operation and just does a stellar job.
He does.
All right.
Yeah, he's awesome. So then we have Kevin, which I already briefly mentioned. And Kevin, actually, I've known him since high school. And he played bass in high school. And but in this band, he basically plays mainly mandolin, and he does do some tenor guitar, and then he will play regular acoustic. But he actually, when Troy moved up from Alabama, he taught Troy how to play bass. And so they have a really deep connection from back when they were like 14 years old, in different bands in high school and whatnot. And so Troy has always admired Kevin's bass skills. And so, and then Troy.
Kevin is a killer mandolin player.
Yeah.
He
so
is
good.
Just
oh my
so
gosh.
good.
He's the one that goes, and he does that kind of stuff. You'll see it tomorrow if you come. But, and then Troy, you want to describe Troy?
Troy's a big guy.
He's a big guy.
He's a big guy. Troy's a big guy. Troy does the bulk of the guitar work.
He does.
In this setting, it's primarily rhythm and interspersed with solos here and there. But the trick is just being tasteful. And he is so tasteful in his playing, leaving space for other people. You turn your head and say, Troy, I'm out of ideas. You take it. He's right there. And we'll just run with whatever we're doing. He's just an accomplished musician, just pro.
And I have to add this, because Troy in this band, he has been in the front of the stage. He has been the lead guitar player. He has been on point, right? And in this band, he's like, Terri, I don't care if I sing very much. I'm laying back. It's about you guys. I want you guys to have this opportunity.
Yeah, he's a consummate
very
professional.
Humble and wonderful. He adds just as much as we do with his songwriting and brings things to the band. And his voice is phenomenal. So when he does get up there and sing, everybody's like, oh, give us more of Troy, because they don't hear him very much. And I think he's sort of got a ploy going on there. actually.
Now you're thinking about it.
I'm starting to think about that. I remember in high school, his brothers never let him sing, and I was in the audience, and every time he would be able to sing one song, I was like, "Oh, he sounds so good. I wish they'd let him sing more." That's what he's doing. I'm going to have to talk to him about that.
There you go. So when you guys aren't playing music, love to always ask people, what do you do for fun and entertainment around Washington? Besides go up to your cabin near Mount Rainier.
Okay.
And I saw Troy. Did he climb? Was it Hood he climbed?
Yeah.
Most recently.
I mean, that's Oregon, so we don't care. But did he summit?
Yeah.
Hood?
Yeah. We tried to summit St. Helens 2 weeks before, but it was like a blizzard. It was like being on Everest. We had to turn around. But we did get.
Did you guys do a lot of hiking?
Huh?
Do you do a lot of hiking?
Yeah, we do. Troy and I do. Okay. It's great exercise, and it's fun. It's nice to be out in the wilderness. Yeah.
How about you, Mark? What do you do when you're not practicing and playing?
Well, I'm sadly still working, so that eats up a portion of my time. A couple more years.
What do you do?
I've been an avid motorcyclist. I've been all over North America. I love my bike dearly, and get out by myself or with a spouse and down the road.
For some reason, and I didn't know that you rode a bike at all, but for some reason, I'm gonna ask you what your bike is, and I'm gonna guess it's not. There's gonna be something unusual about it. I just have this hunch. So, what do you ride?
I have a Honda ST Sport Touring.
Do they come in like red?
They came in red and black. I have a black one.
I think a former coworker of mine had a red one.
And very unusual.
The fact that I can pull that out of my brain is pretty surprising.
Yeah, VV4 longitudinal.
Okay.
Drive shaft, and it's an asphalt eating machine.
All right. So are either of you coffee fans? Because that's important to me.
Yes.
Okay. So where's a good place to go get a cup of coffee in your parts of the world?
Anthem.
Okay.
Yeah. Have you been to Anthem?
I've been to Anthem.
Yeah. I think Anthem is good. Where else? Gosh, up here he's in Fox Island.
Yeah, I know the sticks.
My kitchen is a good place to go. You're welcome to come up for coffee anytime.
I always ask everybody for coffee. It's kind of my weakness, if you will.
Cutters in Gig Harbor, Cutters Point is a good joint. Yeah. I like their coffee. Okay.
And and I feel sorry that you live in Fox Island. I just got to say it's terrible for you, I'm sure.
I had to chase a deer off the porch today.
Oh.
This afternoon, left the gate open, deer on the porch.
So at our house, we're up we're at the base of the canyon here. Okay. And there's a deer preserve up the hill. Oh. So during winter, it's not uncommon for us to have 3 dozen deer in our backyard.
Right.
Oh, that's
I mean, it's just like, they come, so we have a daylight rambler, and so the lower level where my mom lives, they come to the sliding glass door and stand there until she feeds them.
Uh-huh.
They literally are like, they're pets.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. The fact that you have them this late, though, is a little surprising. Because ours are gone. I mean, they've. Oh
no, these are residents.
Yeah,
we've got the fact the deer that was on the porch today is a doe that is so pregnant. We expect to see the fawn any day now, and they'll probably just have it in the yard.
Right. Oh, that's kind of cool, though.
That's cool.
So,
God, she's big. Oh, man.
Where can people find more about the band? Let's drive them someplace that they can go and listen to you. Where can they find your music? Where can they find about where you're playing? Go ahead and tell us all of that.
I really feel that the best resource is Facebook at this point. I mean, that's really where we all sort of congregate. And we do have a website, but it hasn't been kept up to date, which I am going to get my little website taker care of. Hasn't been doing it. So
Well, I will say this: it's a beautiful website.
Thank you. No,
it looks great. So if you wouldn't have said it wasn't taken care of, I don't think anybody would have.
Yeah, we just need to get the updates for where we're playing our shows at on there. So
right.
that's the biggest thing. But
so
Facebook is the best place to check us out. Mm-hmm.
And how about, is any of your music available like on Spotify or Pandora?
This is all going to be taken care of this year. We have so much recorded and mixed and ready to be mastered. COVID just goofed everything up. It just really kind of knocked the legs out from under us. So I expect to see all of those platforms this year. What do we got? 7, 8 recorded and mastered already?
8 recorded and mastered. So we're going to get a CD out too, which, not everybody wants a CD anymore, but if you have a radio show, like we were in Walla Walla, and the radio gal from Whitman who runs the radio station over there said, "Hey, do you have a CD?" And we're like, "No." So, but we need to do that. We need to get some metal and, get our stuff out on Spotify too. So, and especially before the 3rd of July. So we're tasking ourselves to get this taken care of.
We recorded like crazy this past year.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of stuff in the can.
Yeah.
Where else will you guys be performing? I mean, are you starting to book shows out? I mean, I hate to say COVID. I mean, it's just we're all so tired of saying that word, but we're all starting to get out a little bit. We're pushing the rocks away from the front of our caves and we're journeying out a little bit fearfully. But are you starting to book shows for summer?
Well, we have a contract with the
3rd of July.
Yeah, the 3rd of July. So we really can't talk about any shows until we do that. We have Cockerels tomorrow, which is within our timeline of being okay to do that. But since we do have that contract, we can't talk about it. But yes, we are booking shows.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Well, I will make sure when we do the show notes, we'll put the links down there to your Facebook. Is the Facebook page public?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, sometimes people hide them. We never know.
No, we want it to be public.
Okay. And we'll show it. So is there anything else that what didn't I ask you that you want to talk about?
Oh gosh. Well, let's see. Our genre of music is called Gypsygrass. How about that?
So
that's what we're going to call it, Gypsygrass.
So why are you calling it Gypsygrass?
Because it's sort of gypsy.
You're channeling Stevie Nicks.
Yeah, a little bit Stevie Nicks, and then the grass.
The
instrumentation. Okay. And it's a little bit indie too. Indie, I guess we should probably do. Well, we just like Gypsygrass. I just think.
Okay, it's a catchy title. I like that.
Yeah.
How about you, Mark? What didn't we ask you that you want to get out?
Gracious.
I know you're on the spot.
I'm on the spot. I think we covered most everything that I was expecting, and
okay.
So we'll keep it up to the listeners' imagination as to who, when they go and they look at the videos, they can guess who Sweet Thang is. And then maybe if we have another show with Kevin and Troy, maybe they can talk to you guys about
that. Yeah, that'd be fun. That would be entertaining. So, thank you both for making time to do this.
Thank you.
It's kind of interesting. I'm finding it fascinating how everybody's circles are overlapping, and we know people from, Mark, you bring up the ranch. I mean, that was I could do a whole show on the ranch.
Talk to another Central alum.
Yeah, well, I didn't graduate. My freshman year was the best 6 years of my life.
Were you down in Bardo, if I may ask?
No, I was not. When I was in the dorms, I was up in Alfred, Montgomery, Almonte, up near Student Village. And then as soon as I could get off campus, I moved off campus. The fact that you think I might have been at Bardo does hurt deeply, that you think I might have been one of those guys. At least you didn't say Beck. That would have been even worse. But I will tell you, so you were there in 1980, right?
I believe I started in, Been fall of 80, and I had a long and storied career there. It took me a long time to get through.
The first time, so a band out of Seattle, late 70s, early 80s, that was quite well known, the Heats.
Right.
I saw them on Bardo Lawn.
Oh, no kidding.
They played, the first time I ever saw them was they played on Bardo Lawn. And yeah, it's about my only fond memory of that building. The rest of my memories are not particularly pleasant.
There were a few music types that inhabited Bardo. I was in the building a few times. Yeah.
Right. Mike was living in Sue Lombard. That's when I met Mike. He was down at Sue Lombard. So anyway, enough of Central reminiscing. We could do that'd be kind of fun, is to get a bunch of alumni, people on this podcast from Central.
Yeah, that would be fun for you guys.
That'd
be lots of fun for you.
That would, yeah.
Because there's a whole bunch of, there are. It's funny. So, anyway, both thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And I look forward to chatting with you soon.
Yeah.
We will.
And there's going to be a wood-fired pizza truck there for food tomorrow. If y'all are interested in that.
Okay. Yeah, that'll be fun. I look forward to that.
Yay.
Join us next time for another episode of the Exploring Washington State podcast.